Hi, I'm Marlow Felton.
I'm Santa Claus.
I'm Mrs. Claus, and this is Mr. Claus. Merry Christmas.
Have you been naughty or nice?
Have you followed your budget, or have you not? Well, Merry Christmas. We're ready for Christmas, as you can see. And we're both wearing red today. Honey, did you see me pulling out my red jacket?
I still need to wrap your presents.
He does still need to wrap my presents. His are all wrapped.
Where are they?
They're, honey, you know. Yeah, anyway, it's going to be a big surprise.
She's hard to shop for.
Okay, yeah.
In her mind, she thinks she's easy. She's not easy.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So we're here today with part one.
This is eggnog.
It isn't really. Honey, if I bought eggnog, you probably wouldn't even drink it, would you? Yeah, I didn't think so. I was this close to getting some, and I'm like, no, let's just not do it.
Like liquid fat.
It is, yeah. Part one of goal setting for 2019, how to make 2019 the best year ever. And, you know, we know it's the holidays, and we're definitely going to celebrate over the weekend and through the holiday.
Hey, it's Gary Barnes.
However, hey, Gary Barnes. We also know that the end of the year is coming, and we're going to be having our planning meeting and for 2019 and getting ready to gear up for 2019 before it's here. So we're doing a lot of mental and physical prep here at this time of year when we have a little bit of downtime to prepare for that. And one of the questions I would encourage you to talk about and think about before you dive into 2019 is, can you guess what this question is, honey? Okay, I'm going to tell you what this question is. What went well in 2019?
Oh, yeah.
Or I'm sorry, 2018. So what went well? What can you celebrate? The wins that you can celebrate in 2018. What are those? I'm really reflecting back because you might be ending the year with maybe some defeat. Maybe things didn't turn out quite the way that you wanted them to. However, I bet if you really think about it, you can come up with quite a few things that happened that were amazing that will forever change the course of your life. And so I would really encourage you to reflect on the positive things that happened in 2018. Even if they were small, the ripple effects of them could be significant. Maybe you started something new in your business that maybe hasn't quite unfolded yet, but the seeds that you sowed this year are just going to blossom in the coming years, and you've really set the stage for your business to do well. So maybe it's something like that, right?
So a lot of people, it's hard for them to do this because they don't track it. So I don't have my phone on me, but you can go to the download. It's called Win Streak. It's one word, the Win Streak app. And what that does, and I've been doing it for, 6 or 7 years, is I have to record my wins every single day. And so like 17 wasn't that phenomenal of a year, and part of it was we just had some negative stuff happening and some stuff going on in our industry and all those things. And so mentally I was so focused on that the coach at Marlow and I worked with for almost 4 years said, Chris, you have the tendency to, stare at the pothole that's in Maui. Meaning, you're taking a 7-day vacation in Maui, and can you imagine just, standing in the middle of the road looking at the only pothole on the island, and that was your focus point versus focusing on being in Maui. And so what that caused me to do is I sat down, and before I started planning 18, and 18's been phenomenal. It's been our best year yet, that, I went through that Win Streak app and I started recording. Now, I didn't record all the wins because my goal is to record, 3 to 5 wins per day. And I don't always do that, but, over, 300 plus, that's thousands of wins. But I actually take the time of going through there, and I pulled out like 80 significant things that happened that I was just like, holy cow. And so what it did is it got me to reframe my mind into saying, hey, 17 really wasn't that bad.
Right.
And so most people don't focus on that stuff. And so that really gets in the habit of, appreciation and gratitude. And that was kind of one of my big projects for 18, was just getting way better at that. Not just sitting there going, yeah, I know I need to be grateful. Yeah, I need to appreciate the things in my life. But I've been working on it, and that's probably another talk for another time. But just that was part of my morning routine, is just getting the appreciation and gratitude. Anyway, so download the Win Streak app, and that's where I would start, is just recording the wins, and just get in the habit of journaling the things that are working in your life. We have a very wealthy mentor of ours who, $500 million net worth. I mean, the best goal setter I've ever seen in my life. And he talks about how his goals that he's written in his life have become the journals of his life. How cool is that, right? Mm-hmm. Where you write down some goals like he does every year, and he reads them aloud twice daily. And I mean, he's the walking, Think and Grow Rich novel. This guy came from very humble beginnings, and is one of the most amazing people that we've ever met. But he's journaled. And so, I've been journaling for the last 10 years. I hope that my kids would read the journals, but maybe not. But
you hope that they would?
I hope they would actually read the journals. But there's a written history there. And
they're clean. They're rated PG-13.
Yeah, they are. Why would you?
Honey, I'm just...
Anyway.
I thought I'd lighten things up a little bit.
Well,
here.
no, this is good stuff. You lighten. I'm not gonna wrap your presents.
Yes, you are. Well, I already know what they are.
I know, because she's so hard to shop for. Anyway, so okay. I didn't journal about her presents, but anyway, I always thought that was an amazing concept. So start there, and then the next process that I do that's always helped me is to just operating from objective reality, which is what the world-class mindset does, is they operate from objective reality. And my most favorite question, albeit it's not the most favorite question for most people, is, based on my results for 2018, what's my thinking that created the results that I got?
Oh, that's a good one.
And so what's the thinking that created the results? So I started doing this on the plane back from Atlanta, seeing my kids. And you got to be really careful that you don't bring a hammer and you beat yourself up over it. Objective reality is the ability to look at your life without hammering yourself and adding emotion. It's the ability to look at your results. And world-class people want to look at their results. They want to be held accountable to their results, and they want to get their mind wrapped around, because the thinking creates the beliefs, and the beliefs create the behaviors that create the action that create the results. And so, what that caused me to do is, to think about how much bigger I want our business to be. And that thinking, albeit it has created, we've had a phenomenal year in all facets of our business. I mean, it's going to be amazing once the numbers are total. And we're going to celebrate that. But ultimately where we want to be with that is about 7 times the size it is now. So I'm really aware, and I know it's not easy to do all the time, but my current level of thinking is not going to go get that 7-time type results, right? And so now I'm beginning to reach out to different people in our company that are at that level, and I'm going to change my thinking by association of that. But if I don't really sit there and look at, what's the thinking that's creating the results, and then my second question, and I'll let Marlow chime in here with her with my what? Anyway. What's holding me back? That's probably one of my most favorite questions around planning is, what's holding me back? How am I getting in my own way? I was first introduced to that by a wealthy mentor. It's probably been almost 18 years. And I was really struggling. I think it was about 2000. And I had 8 appointments cancel in one day.
Well, honey, the good news is you had 8 appointments scheduled in one day. That's pretty impressive.
No,
but
that sucked, because but canceled. Like these people disappeared.
gosh.
Like they went into the witness protection program. Like I never saw them again.
I remember that. That was a long time ago.
So instead of going to the bar, which was my tendency to go, drink my sorrows away, I went to the Tattered Cover in Cherry Creek, Colorado, and I got a big old cup of coffee, and I had a big old pad of paper, and I sat there I think I was there for about 5 or 6 hours. And I just wrote down,
he had a little time on his hands.
Well, it just was like, what's holding you back, man? How are you getting in your own way? And some of it was, you hit the snooze button 4 times, and you're jacking around trying to figure out what you're gonna wear, to some pretty deep stuff. And it was the first time in my life that I actually got brutally honest with myself. But I didn't beat myself up. It was kind of like I was getting really clear on how I was getting in my own way. And guess what? I wrote a gigantic list. I mean, it was 100 plus items. And if you try to change 100 things, you'll go, crazy. But I'd grab one thing, work on it for, 30 days, change that habit. And then, I got pretty good at just making 10 or 12 shifts a year. And if you do that, you're going to be a completely different person.
Right.
I still do it. And it's not about getting that list to 0, because the more aware you get, the bigger that list becomes. And you accept these things you got to work on and realize that you can be happy and fulfilled at the same time while you're working on that. And if you're into growth and development like we are, you're always going to have a list. You're always going to have a list of a bunch of stuff. And it's not about making that list perfect and pristine. It's just about growing. It's just about getting better. And so anyway, so that's where I always start, because a lot of people want to, they want to dive into, hey, what do I want, and the goals and all that, which we'll talk about, maybe here if we got a little bit of time, but we'll talk
about next week.
We're going to do part 2 next week. Yeah. But if I don't really get in relation to the thinking that's creating my result and really understand that that's driving it, and if I don't start tweaking 3 or 4 thought processes that I know that created that, the results just aren't going to be different. So if you start with wins, and then you get into how am I getting my own way, how's my thinking creating my results, what are the things that need to shift there, then you can go into what we call, the 4 key steps, which, we can cover next week. Yeah. On how to have a great 2019 and be a goal achiever, not just a goal setter, which most people are just goal setters.
Big difference.
All right, so what do you got?
Well,
what do you think of those apples?
So that's pretty good, honey. So first of all, I just want to remind everyone, if you've maybe just tuned in, that what we're recommending that you do, instead, if you're getting ready to plan for 2019, obviously we want you to, think about the future, plan for the future, set your goals, and do all that. However, what we recommend you do first is look back to 2018 and really think about the wins that you had, no matter how small they were, and how those are going to positively affect your future. What were those, so you can celebrate those wins, because you may have forgotten about some of those big wins that are in the process of changing your life. And it's really important for you to take inventory of those wins. And hi, Dana, that's my sister. Hi.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, did you
Merry Christmas, sister.
Hi, Dana. Anyway, take inventory of your wins from 2018. And also, Chris just mentioned the habits. So, really, habits change your life. And, habits are, things you do day in and day out. They may seem really small, but the results are, exponential. So think back to some of the new habits that maybe you created that were good in 2018. Maybe it was reading more, getting up earlier, whatever it was, no matter how small. What was that, and how did it positively affect your year? And then also maybe think about maybe some bad habits that you've gotten into and how you can replace those with better habits. And they don't have to be.
What are your bad habits?
I have none. Are you kidding me? But
so she ate 2 red velvet.
He seemed shocked that I ate 2 cookies last night.
2 red velvet I mean, it's literally like eating a stick of butter.
I
Two-
know,
two
and it
sticks
was
of
so
butter.
good. So anyone that knows me well knows that I'm a huge health freak, and I eat really, really good 90% of the time. But when I'm bad,
99.
I am really bad, and I went for it last night.
And I ate one, and I was just like, oh my God, there's
He
no
ate
way.
one.
There's no way she's gonna
Yeah,
eat two.
he ate one, and then he's looking at me with two on my plate, and he goes, "There's no way you're gonna eat 2 red velvet cookies." I'm like, "You're seriously doubting my ability to eat cookies?"
They're good.
And I laughed like that.
Super rich. Okay, bad habit.
Anyway, so yes, sugar was actually one that I cut out, and I know this has nothing to do with money, but how you do anything is how you do everything, and your health can affect your wealth and all that. So I believe it's important to take care of your wealth and your health. And so I think it was like 3 years ago, I decided that I was eating way too much sugar, and I was putting sugar in my coffee. I was having something sweet every single day because I had to have that afternoon, and I decided that wasn't serving me, and I knew I couldn't cut it out completely, but once a week I'll allow myself to have something sweet, something small, except for last night because it's the holidays, right? And that, just doing that alone has dramatically changed my life. I immediately lost like 5 pounds, and
Because
just
she was so large.
because I was so large. Well, but anyway, I just slimmed down just from cutting out sugar, and I actually had more energy because I wasn't eating sugar. But anyway, that's become a new habit of mine of really just being aware of my sugar intake. But maybe you've created a habit of doing happy hour maybe a little bit too often, and spending unnecessary money on certain things. I'm just using that as an example because it happens to a lot of people. But what are those habits that those bad habits that you could change and replace them with better habits, habits that serve you better? Because it really is. It's big changes in life come from a series of habits, things that you do day in and day out. Your daily routine will determine your success in life. And so it's really a good time of year heading into 2019 planning to take inventory of the habits you've created, good or bad, and finding some new ones that could serve you very well in the future and become, and snowball. The results just snowball, and it's powerful.
Yeah. So next Saturday we'll talk about
Cheers.
really.
There's no Baileys in here, really.
Yeah. But I go through that. Go through that process. I mean, I know some people that they start doing this planning process. January 1 or whatever. I mean, I started mid-December. With the goal of always closing out the year strong. I know we've got a lot of entrepreneurs that watch us, and we're still doing that, up until the last moment, because we want to make 18 count big time, and we want to create momentum for January. But start this process. Whether you sit down, I mean, I highly recommend, getting a journal for 2019 if you don't have one, and going through that and going through the thinking process and thinking about it, and then looking at some of that stuff right now, and I'm starting to make those changes now. I'm not waiting until January 1 to do that. So next week we'll get really clear on the 4 things. We've talked about one of them pretty extensively here, which is really removing the blocks. And so a lot of people, when they set goals, they don't acknowledge how they get in their own way, what the thinking is, how they get freaked out about it or whatever. And, I gave this training to our agents a couple weeks ago, and, I'm looking at their results and going, hey, sit down and go through this thinking. And some of the things they're sending me, I'm like, well, no wonder, right? No wonder you didn't have the year that you wanted, because all these things rolling around in your brain. I mean, there's no way. I mean, the analogy I give is, can you imagine it? About 20 pounds ago, I ran my last marathon, right? So that was in the mid-90s, and I was in pretty good shape. But I couldn't imagine, training for 4 months and getting lean and getting in shape, and can you imagine? And get the right shoes, you get your music, and get all this. You're ready for the marathon. You're totally dialed in, and you're at the start line, and somebody comes and attaches a 30-pound bowling ball around your ankle.
Right.
And that's, I mean, that literally, a lady we work with, and she's so phenomenal, so talented, and she actually took me up on this and listened and did it, and she sent me all the stuff that rolls through her brain around the success that she wants, and I'm like, it was the 30-pound bowling ball. And I'm like, there's no way that she was going to achieve this success, but she had a big win there where she's just like, this is the inventory of the thinking that's creating the results. Guys, people go their entire lives never, ever doing this. And it's probably the best Christmas gift you could give yourself. But you know, you start taking a couple things and just going, yeah, that's not correct and it's not serving me. And so I need to affirm and think the opposite. And anyway, we'll get into all that next week where we help you get, you know, really clear on what you want to go after. Second is getting those blocks acknowledged. Third is, you know, obviously getting a game plan pulled together, and getting your unconscious mind to buy into what you're doing, which is huge. And then support and accountability. So we'll talk about those things.
Yeah, and so, and interestingly, my next blog, which I believe is coming up soon, but I can provide a link to this blog, and it is what can you let go of in 2019. So part of what Chris is talking about is in order to move forward with your goals in 2019, you have to uncover the thinking that keeps you stuck and let go of that thinking that's keeping you stuck and holding you back. It's like the you know, 10,000, do you say 10,000 pound bowling ball? It doesn't even matter.
30 pounds
30
enough.
pounds is enough, right? If you're trying to run.
Can you imagine carrying a 30-pound bowling ball for 26 miles?
You wouldn't want to. But that's a big part of going into goal setting for 2019. Also, we mentioned celebrating all your wins, no matter how small in 2018, starting there, and really thinking about your habits, good and bad, and really thinking about how you can change those daily habits, because even if they're small, they can change your life. So
and
this...
How can you stop eating red velvet cookies?
Yeah, don't go to parties where there are red velvet cookies, because you'll eat 2 of them. Yeah,
no
anyway.
One's gonna eat 2 of them, only you.
Only me. I can throw
done.
them down.
They're done with us.
All right. So thanks for joining us. This is
Thank
part
you.
1 of goal setting for
Merry
2019.
Christmas.
Join us next Saturday for part 2. Part 2 of goal setting for 2019. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you next week.